Hello and welcome to the Sutliffian Report. Today we have some real shockers to cover with the topic of divorce, and I am so thankful Darcy is here because the majority of what we're covering today, most of us guys want nothing to do with. And that would, of course, be about a certain thing that women experience that men never do. Thank you, God. and wow. This topic will blow your mind. It's going to show you that Allah doesn't know much about science and he doesn't know much about biology. And I can go on and on from there. This is going to get surprising. But as I always start with a reading from God's word. And I'm just going to show you, this is one of the books that I've just published. This is from my book, Exodus 1. Exodus 1. I'll be showing you a picture of that in a minute. This would be day 7. Exodus 2:16-22. Now the priests of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, "How is it that you have come so soon today?" And they said, "An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew enough water for us, and watered the flock." And he said unto his daughters, "And where is he? Why is it that you left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread." And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, "I have been a stranger in a strange land." Now this is, if you see the red lines, it's because this was what I used I had to use this document to edit. So the publisher sets this up for me so I can just point out lines. Moses was alone. He had been in the desert for a while. Much of that experience was soul-searching talks with the living God that the Hebrews, his brothers and sisters, served. He had left all that he knew to live. He had left behind 2 families, his Egyptian mother's cousins and others who were royalty, and his Hebrew biological family who were slaves and regarded as inferior and of lesser value to the Egyptians. Moses understood that his crime of murder was not just against the Egyptians, but also against the Hebrews who valued all human life. If all human life has value, surely defenseless people deserve protection. That was likely what was in his mind when he saw the girls attempting to get water for their flocks. He had become a man who could not idly stand by while someone was abused. He had to act. If out of compulsion, so be it, because he knew it was the right thing to do. A prince of Egypt would not have been wimpy, nor would he have missed an opportunity to learn how to fight, since he could have been leading armies. He would have been combat trained as only a royal could be. What would shepherds mean to one such as him? How could he not act? That one action of protection set another series of events in motion, leading to his no longer being alone. He had pleased the father of his future bride with this one act of kindness. Moses began to understand that God knew where he was. God knew that he was alone and needed more than a friend to go through life with. Zipporah entered his arms in marriage, and with blessings from her father, Reuel, the priest of Midian, God blessed the marriage with the gift of a child. Moses must have been living a blissful life, happy and free from the daily conflict that had been in his head from being both a slave and royalty. This was the time for Moses to learn more about the God of love, one who loved him so much he would not leave him alone. And there are, if you read on, there's prayers for each devotional. I'm hoping I have 4 that just came up. All right. So today we are covering a very, very strange topic. And I say it's strange because you would never think about a woman's period or menses, or whatever you want to call it, being drastically important with the word divorce. But in Islam, it's kind of central. And it's, I don't have a nice word. about this, and it's kind of dirty. Um, I don't understand how Allah can be so ignorant on this topic. I wish I could. I just want to show you before I get further into this that these are the new books that are out. Okay, here we go. And Darcy, I'm going to save you for a minute. So, Red, you're not home yet. Let's see. Nico, would you mind reading the first one?
Okay. N 8.3. A husband is not considered to have forsworn his wife in the above unlawful sense when he forswears sexual intercourse for 4 months or less, or when he is impotent or impotent.
Yeah, impotent was. Okay, so listen. This actually, we're going to come back to this verse because there's a problem here. See, you're not supposed to leave your wife alone. It says, and when he left her, he left behind. All right. He's not with her. That's, if you notice that in the translation, he left her behind for 4 months. He's not even in the same house. If it's less than that, or if the husband is impotent or infertile, then he's not a guardian. All right. Wait. So they're not giving you the full truth here. He's not considered to forswear when he's left. See, the only excuse here, if it's less than that, or if the husband is impotent or infertile, then he's not a guardian. He's not a guardian of his wife when he leaves her for 4 months. They're not telling us the whole truth here. See, he can't do this. He can't not have sex with his wife for 4 months. It's a violation. And this is, I mean, some might consider this grounds for her. She could file for divorce and get it because he hasn't touched her for 4 months. And this is just kind of, yeah, I mean, husbands and wives have issues. I get that, but 4 months is a long time between a husband and a wife not to be communicating that way. All right. Let's go on. And let's see. Darcy, would you mind reading N 8.4?
Sure. Even though I can't read Arabic.
This, well, so do you see how many words are there? This kind of bugged me. I mean, that this wasn't translated, and there's going to be words in here that'll, yeah, anatomy words in here. I'm just going to put anatomy, biology words in here. That's one of the reasons I'm saving you. But yeah, N 8.4, please.
Yeah. Zihar is when a man compares. Oh, heck no. Compares his wife to his mother or another of his mahrams or to one of her limbs. Oh my gosh. Saying, you are on my mother's back. Or like her, close your ears, man, vagina, or her hand. If he says that and finds the recurrence, he must make expiation, and he is forbidden to have intercourse with her until he makes expiation.
So he has to beg her forgiveness. Basically, right? He has divorced. Basically saying this, he has divorced her.
Right. And the recurrence is when he keeps her after the zihar for a period of time during which he can say to her, you are divorced, but he does not say it. If he follows the zihar with divorce immediately, she is divorced and there is no expiation. The expiation is to free a believing slave who is free from defects that harm one's deeds. If he does not find one, then he must fast for 2 consecutive months. If he is unable to do so, then he must feed 60 poor people, each one a mud of the staple food of the country, out of love for the intention.
So if he said, "You're like my mom," he has to free a slave, or he has to feed 60 people. This is just, I would say ask for forgiveness. No. I mean, I was reading along, and I've been looking at this week. I've been looking at one of the arguments one of my professors had said about, he was arguing that Sharia is backed up by the Quran and the Hadith. And I've been saying, well, I don't think that's exactly accurate. I think the majority of Sharia is not in the Hadith, but and the Quran. In this case, when we're talking about the topic of divorce, I would say the majority of the section on divorce is backed by the Hadith and the Quran. I'm just going to give you a clue as to what I'm talking about. Let me pull up that section. Here we go. All right. And I think it's right here. Come on, work. Oh, the joys of. All right, here we go. And I got to pull it up. Just a second. And I have it up here already. I think it's. Oh, I didn't pull it over there. That's why. Okay. All right. You see this? Everybody see that? Sunnah.com. I'm at Sunnah.com.
Yes.
Yes.
And it says, this is from Muwada Malik, and I've been reading his book of divorce. There's a whole section of hadiths on divorce in most of these. So you kind of sit here going, what is going on when you read this section? Why is it like this? Why do they have to have a whole section on divorce? Because Allah loves divorce as much as he says he doesn't. And this one says, Yahya related to me from Malik, from Yahya ibn Said, from Al-Qasim ibn Muhammad, that a certain man had taken a slave girl belonging to somebody else as a wife. He said to her people, she is your concern. And people considered that to be one pronouncement of divorce. Wait a minute. Here's my question at the beginning of the show on the title slide. If you marry a slave, is she still a slave? And the answer, according to this, is yes, she's still a slave. However, when you divorce your slave, that's like freeing her. She gets to go home. And it's just bizarre. I thought that was bizarre. I've got a few other ones. You're going to see that today in Sharia. Some of these will be seen in Sharia. These hadiths will be seen in the Sharia. Here we go. A Yahya related to me from Malik that he heard that a man came to Abdullah ibn Umar and said, Abu Abd al-Rahman, I placed the command of my wife in her hand, and she divorced herself. What do you think? Abdullah ibn Umar said, I think that it is as she said. The man said, don't do it, Abu Abd. Don't do it. You did it, Ibn Umar said. It has nothing to do with me. So you gave your power the power to divorce you, and she did it. Too bad for you. Yes. So this is where it gets interesting. He can still take her back. And this is what we've been reading last week and this week. This power it's bad. It's just insane. All right, let me read the next one here. I was just looking at these and I'm just like, wait, this is kind of nutty. All right. I don't think I have this one ready. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. Let me pull this one up. think I have to click here first. All right. This one is just as bad. Come on. Mousy, mousy, mouse. I can see you. There we go. Here we go. Now, remember what we were saying about abstaining. This is going to get interesting. It says, Yahya related to me from Malik from Nafi that Abdullah ibn Umar said, when a man makes a vow to abstain from intercourse with his wife and 4 months have passed, he must declare his intent, and either he is divorced or he revokes his vow. Divorce does not occur until 4 months have passed and he continues to abstain. Like, okay, a man vows to abstain from intercourse and 4 months have passed, he must declare his intent, and either he is divorced or he, okay. You can't, this is, you hear the contradiction of what we just read? So this is where I'm saying, yes, it is part of Sharia. No, it's not part of Sharia. Yes, it is in the Hadith. No, it's not. This part of Sharia goes directly against the Hadith. So is Sharia abrogating Hadith? In this case, absolutely. It's scary when you start seeing some of this stuff. And I'm going to keep going through and looking at this. I think in the long run, we're going to find, I think I'm going to do a study, and it's going to be really in-depth, which means I have to spend a long time reading Hadith. I want to do a study that proves that Sharia, this is the thing Usama keeps saying, and I've come to more of a conclusion to agree with him on, is that Sharia is written and is supposed to be correcting the Sunnah, which is the Quran and the Hadiths and the Sirahs. I mean, it's correcting that, and it's going against it. So Sharia does not reflect these things, and that's, I think, this what we're going to see. What got me here, I have to come back to. Every time this word slave appears, they don't translate it. All right. They refuse to let us know of their love of slavery. I'm going to keep hammering that home. Why is it so important to hide it? Well, I think it's pretty evident, especially with what happened this week. They returned some of the dead. And Hamas returned some of the dead. And I'm still disgusted with what they put on the coffins. Is anybody familiar with what they put on the coffins?
No.
Of the her family? Arrested October 7th, 2023.
Yeah.
Arrested. No, they took them hostage. They did something horrible. And this is just disgusting. I mean, basically what they did is they took slaves. And that's the thing that bothers me the most. They took slaves. They did not do anything else. They took the slaves, and it's just insane. That's what they did. These women were to be slaves. The men who were to be slaves. The children were to be slaves. And when they take women, what are they going to do with them? According to history in Islam, they're going to rape them. When they took the ones they had already raped most of the women. If they had any that were virgins still, they might have been so prepubescent they didn't feel ready to take advantage of them. Yeah. Now, the bodies were returned in coffins. I will say this, and I thought there was going to be. Originally, when I heard about the coffins, I was thinking, how do you know they're returning the right bodies? Well, apparently Hamas knows, don't play that game. So they have mixed up the Beebus children. They put them in the wrong coffins. That was determined. Yeah, I would. They could be thankful I am not in charge of Israel, because that would have been enough for me to let all hell break loose and totally annihilate Hamas from the world. Killing a woman and her small children, I couldn't do it. Yeah, these were babies. 9 months. 9 months. Yes.
Do they know how long they were dead? And the cause of their death?
That's an important discussion they haven't revealed yet. That I have not seen that.
I'm just thinking about this. They kept the bodies. That's weird. Did they bury them, or did they kept them in a freezer? That's just pretty bizarre. You know what I mean?
You're asking the same questions I was. How much was left? I have a lot of questions on that one. And the fact that they were able to tell which one was which and they got them in the wrong coffin, I have an awful lot of questions myself. But yeah, it's bad. Like I said, if it was, they can be thankful. I am not leading the country of Israel because that would have been enough. There would be, I would not want to be the head of Israel right now, because that would be enough for me to say, I don't give a crap about what our negotiation was. We're just going to annihilate you now. That's exactly what I would do. I would go take whatever bomb I had and I would drop it on them and pinpoint. Israel goes for pinpoint accuracy. They believe all life is important. That's why they're willing to do this. They released over 600 terrorists. Now, I'm going to keep telling people, you have to understand, Israeli thought is to protect all life. However, instead of feeding terrorists, is it nice when they become able to be shot at again? Instead of feeding 600, and they become part of the fodder. And I think that is exactly what's going to happen. They're going to start the war again, and now they can kill them. And that's probably going to happen.
Well, that's what Trump said. He's like, dude, no, all hell will break loose. Israel can override me on this, but basically, Trump's basically said, I'll give you whatever you need. I'm not going to say a damn thing.
Yeah, that number of all bombs is going to be dropped, is what I'm thinking. They're going to find those 600. Boom. Yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing. Like, so we discussed this before going on the air about how I've noticed there's a definite switch in at least the Gulf state support of the Palestinians, especially when it comes to Hamas. They seem to just be fed up. They've had enough. Okay. Now I don't know if it's because of ISIS or the Trump effect or both, but they seem to be really going through this whole normalization with Israel. Okay. They really are. And if you look at MBS, the leader of the de facto leader of Saudi Arabia, he's kind of really making changes. Okay, it's kind of shocking. People are going down to Saudi Arabia that were there 10 years ago. And they're like, dude, you wouldn't even recognize the place. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking to selling booze openly or anything like that. It's just a total different atmosphere. There's no more of those religious police walking around. Women are not being beaten. They can walk around without the headscarf. You know what I mean? Or the baya.
I think countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, their first step towards sanity was banning the Muslim Brotherhood. The second step towards sanity, I believe, is more of a. I think that the leaders of the countries have recognized. We're not counting Qatar in this mess. I believe these leaders have either read the Old Testament or the New Testament and are leading the country, recognizing their faith structure of Islam is full of evil. And they are working to change that. They do not want Sharia implemented in full. If they do that, I mean, the ease of divorce is mind-numbing. You have to return to having slavery. And these are countries, these two countries we're mentioning, don't allow slavery. Is it happening in their countries? Absolutely. But again, because all of these countries say Sharia is the law of the land, they can make a law that says, okay, we don't allow it, but because Sharia in their constitution it says Sharia is the law of the land, they are accepting it. And this is the thing we have to. I think there's deception being involved here too, and like the Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia made a statement, and I personally think he's being deceitful. He's saying what he has to say in public to deceive people, and that's one of my comments against someone who quoted him. I'm not trusting their word. If they want to renounce Islam, fine, do it slowly. I understand the purpose of that, but I think that's the direction this is going. That's the only way it can go to be better. And
that's kind of the whole thing.
I think the UAE is more on the way. Yeah,
the one thing that would overhaul Islam, the one thing that would overhaul Islam is to actually make sure every single Muslim reads for themselves all Islamic sources.
Yes.
So they stop reciting what they memorized by hearing, because that doesn't do anything.
And that's exactly it. I think what's going to happen, I mean, if you look at Saudi Arabia and many Muslim countries, what they're taught, they do not read the full Quran. Even those who know Arabic do not mostly read the Quran. And the truth is that Quran is written in classical Arabic, so a lot of Muslims still don't know it. They're told the Quran is totally Arabic. It's not. I mean, people we know who speak Arabic don't know some of these words because they're not Arabic. And yeah, I want to go on because this is, I have a point I want to get to, and we can come back to this.
No problem. Sorry to interrupt.
No, this is timely. Again, I will say it again. It's a good thing I'm not the head of Israel, because I would have annihilated Hamas after receiving those coffins. All right. Now, let's see. Who is daring enough? Okay. Red, are you home?
No, I'm just parked. But I still can't read.
Eric, you're home. Would you mind? I'm going to have you read what's on the right first.
Okay. This is 9.0, a woman's postmarital waiting period, the Idda.
No, read what's on the right. Don't read the left. There's a reason I'm asking that.
Yeah, okay. Okay. It is a period of time during which a woman is permitted to have her womb circumcised, either for worship or to have it removed.
Yeah. Does that sound like we're talking about divorce?
Menopause.
I mean,
which means they're paused from their men.
Well, I mean, to me, it sounds like a surgery to remove the uterus.
It sounds like
maybe I'm wrong.
Genital mutilation is what it sounds like.
No, that would have been done a while beforehand, because we're talking about the womb.
It's the circumcision.
But you're removing something with the circumcision. You're removing the womb.
So are you're removing something with genital mutilation too?
I think this is removing the uterus. I could be wrong, because the womb, the clitoris is not part of the womb. So that's where the only part I'm disagreeing with. Now, this is
logically correct when they classify things.
Yeah. So you notice if you take a look on the left, do you see the word womb anyplace? I mean, you see all the O's, the N's. Those are notes. They left this entire piece and didn't touch it. There's nothing said there. Now, the Google Translate, I will tell you this. The word they use for Idda this is the part that killed me. The word they used for Idda was kit. And I'm like, that makes no sense. I called Usama. I just want to make sure I'm correct. This is the Idda, right? Yes, he said that's correct. That's the only thing it says there. It does not say post-marital waiting period. Oh, wait a minute. But
Nico,
that's what the word Idda means.
Nico posted in chat, what is it called when the woman became too old to give birth? That's a hysterectomy, isn't it?
Well, they remove. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. I believe that is what this is referring to.
Yeah. I mean, could it be referring to both, like the whole removal of a young lady's outer parts, so to speak, and then
no, it can't be, because we're talking about the womb, and that is what we would call a hysterectomy.
No.
I can't believe. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see that the time periods we're talking about that a hysterectomy would have been something normal, and this, I just don't see. I have too many questions. I'm going to go back and ask Usama to make sure this is translated correctly. This one just has me hanging there because there's nothing in these notes that actually refers to this. Now, I will say this: the period of time, maybe that's not their intent. Maybe circumcised is the wrong word, because the goal here is, with the Idda period, is that she proves she's not pregnant. All right, that's all she has to do is prove she's not pregnant. But the time period.
I have another take on this from a female perspective.
Yes.
The woman is permitted to have her womb circumcised, and that kind of makes me feel like the baby that she was pregnant with was removed.
That could be right.
And that's circumcising, emptying the womb.
That makes sense. That might be exactly it. I mean, she has to prove that she's not pregnant with her husband's baby. So that actually makes sense too. That's actually far better sense. The word abortion may not have been created. So thank you. Thank you, Darcy.
Yeah, to the last word, removed.
Yeah.
And to have her womb circumcised, it actually points towards having, a baby scraped out, basically aborted.
That makes more sense, unfortunately. And we're back to you, Nico. You've got the tough one on the top. I'm going to have you read the left first.
Tougher than that? Great. All right.
Yeah, this one is hard.
All right. There is no waiting period for a woman divorced before having had sexual intercourse with her husband. You want to keep reading the left?
Yep. Yeah.
A waiting period is obligatory for a woman divorced after intercourse, whether the husband and wife are prepubescent, have reached puberty, or one has and the other has not. Intercourse means copulation. If the husband was alone with her but did not copulate with her and then divorced her, there is no waiting period. Okay.
So this gets, as simple as it is. I'm just going to read the right. If a man, N9.1, if a man divorces his wife before consummation, she doesn't have to observe a waiting period. So there's no Idda period. That's nothing. I mean, he married her, never consummated the marriage. So if Muhammad, who married this 6-year-old girl, never had sex with her, he could have divorced her and she could have gone straight home to mommy. Well, that would have been wonderful for the child. And 9.2, if he divorces her after consummating, she must observe the waiting period, the Idda, whether the spouses are prepubescent. So you can have sex with prepubescent girls here. Are you catching this? Or adults, or one of them is an adult and the other is prepubescent. Wait a minute. This is talking about being married to an adult and a prepubescent girl. So you're married to two people, at least here. What is meant by consummation is sexual intercourse. I mean, this is just plain nasty. Intercourse with prepubescent girls, and this is part of Sharia, and this has to do with a divorce. Yeah. Legalization of pedophilia.
This is I've made I don't know how many times I've made this point, Paul. I mean, this is what is so sick and evil about this, is that a grown man can do this to I mean, you're right. It is the codification of what is a criminal activity in every culture across the globe. And when we talk about, what are you doing to me here?
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
We start talking about, 65-4, and you have when a grown man can take a little girl, prepubescent little girl, call it marriage, marry her, and then consummate that marriage, and then divorce that same prepubescent girl before she's had her first period. The trauma, I mean, just the trauma alone of what that would do to a little girl is just, it's almost, you can't imagine that. I mean, how could a man who is supposed to be the protector of children do that to a child and still sleep at night? And this is what makes it even worse, is that they think that this is somehow divinely inspired to Muhammad.
That
is going to dictate something like this. You are a sick individual. You are a sick human being if you think that a god of any type would dictate that and codify that and say that this is okay. You're sick.
Now, there's a lot of videos out there with, and this is the sick part. There's a lot of videos out there that claim Sharia is God's perfect law. And I just watched a video last week where this guy is saying you should implement the Sharia fully. And only when you implement the Sharia fully have you done what Allah wants. You can't do it partially. And it's, yeah. And this is part of Sharia. And if this is if you meet Muslims, you should be asking them, do you want Sharia? And then turn around and ask, do you know what you're asking for is having sex with prepubescent girls? Are you okay with your daughter being married off at the age of 6 and bedded at the earliest age of 9, maybe before she's even reached an age of puberty?
Mothers having
There's
sex.
no age.
Yeah, mothers having sex with their handicapped children from like a few weeks ago. I mean, it's just, I don't understand why this stuff is not legalized internationally. There's no excuse for that.
Well,
This would be the reason.
What's scary is that when you engage Muslims on this topic, we've had, I can't remember how long ago, it's been a while since we did have a lady on the show, and she said that, I would allow since the Prophet did it, I would allow my child to do it. And I try to think of how far gone do you have to be? I mean, seriously, where you cannot check your own. In Romans, God tells us that his law is written on our hearts. We are to know intuitively when something is right and when something is wrong. How dark does your heart have to have been been what's the word, corrupted in order to think that this is somehow okay. And when you think of the defense mechanisms they throw up there, and then finally they just get to the point where, anytime that, if you're a Christian, you always bring up this thing about Muhammad. Well, the problem with that is that when Christians bring this one thing up about Muhammad, if Muhammad, because they always go back, well, Isaac married when she was 3, or Joseph married Mary when she was 12 or whatever. Shut up. I do not follow the Sunnah of Isaac. I do not follow the Sunnah of Joseph, even if those things were true, which they're not. But even if they were true, I am not a corrupt enough individual to think that that is a pattern of conduct for me to follow or others to be able to follow for all time. That's the problem. Muhammad did it, and now since Muhammad did it, they think it's Sunnah. And then in order to justify it, Muhammad comes up with this wonderful verse, 65:4, saying that you can marry those girls that have not yet had their courses or had their cycles. And you look at all the commentary says that these are prepubescent little girls. The fact is that when Muslims try to defend this, they are completely checking their sense of morality and decency at the door. And when you start confronting them on this, for example, Kenny Bomer had that debate with David Wood on this one topic. When he did, Kenny was trying to say that you can't trust the hadith. Those hadith have been fabricated. And the reason why is because Kenny Bomer has a higher sense of morality than Muhammad does.
And that is shocking. And that is shocking right there. I mean, think about how depraved Muhammad has to be if Kenny Bomer has a higher sense of morality than him. I'm sorry, yeah.
And that is, I think you'll find the truth here is you're going to find most Muslims have a higher sense of morality than Muhammad. It's disgusting. It's in plain language, people. This is the thing to think about. There's no denying it. It's here and put in their law, which they believe all Muslims and all non-Muslims must obey. It's not just follow, it's obey. So this is just, it's abhorrent. And we're only up to, this is 9.1 in the divorce section.
And it's restated. I don't want to get ahead of you, Paul, but it's restated in 9.9 too.
Yes, we will be there. Yeah, it's bad. It is bad.
It's sick. It's not bad. It's evil. It's sick.
I got an update real quick. I want to share the bodies that were released. I know you mentioned this a little bit, Paul, but the woman, the wife, okay, or the mother, that wasn't her. The wrong body. So they did get the children, but not the wife. So it looks like the Moabs are being loaded on planes as we speak. So yeah, can't even trust them to do that, man. This is just totally horrible. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see. Darcy, would you mind reading? We're gonna. I guess for this one, we'll just read the left side, and So, Darcy, would you mind?
I do, but I'll still read it.
Okay.
When a waiting period is obligatory upon a woman because of divorce or annulment of marriage, then if she is pregnant, the waiting period ends when she gives birth, provided 2 conditions are met. A, the first is that she has given birth to all she was carrying. If carrying 2 or more children, it is necessary that she has given birth to all, whether live or stillborn, and whether fully developed or an undeveloped fetus, which midwives, 2 or more, swear is the beginning of a human form. Whenever there is less than 6 months between two births, the babies are considered twins.
Hey, Darcy, I want to stop here. Darcy, you're a woman. Do you think it's possible to have uh, more than a month between two births?
If there was two women, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. But there's only one we're talking about here. So is Allah intelligent or stupid? This is the part I'm stuck on. I mean, really, I mean, even on the right, it says that the entire pregnancy must be separated, even if there were two or more children. It's stipulated that all of them be separated, alive or dead, fully formed, a lump of flesh that has not been conceived, and the midwives, two or more, testify at the beginning. And then there are 6 months between the two children. Really, 6 months. This is where today's lesson. I think the big lesson is Allah is stupid as far as science goes. Allah thinks that women give birth between they can give birth as early as 6 months. And you got to think about this, the time period. I want you to think about the time period we're talking about during Muhammad's day. Do you think a child could be born at 6 months and survive?
No. But to be clear, to defend Allah and His merciful messenger Muhammad, okay, to be clear, okay. So let's just say there's certain miracles there, right? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So for instance, according to some traditions, Muhammad was resting in the womb for 4 years.
We're going to
after
get
his
into that.
father-
So hold on, hold on with the 4 years.
Okay.
We're going to get there.
Well,
We'll get there.
well, not only that, not only that, but I mean, think about the scientific genius of Muhammad, where he thought it was a good idea after he slaughtered a whole woman's family that he would take her up and offer to cook him food, and the poison took 4 years to kill him. So yeah, I mean, this dude was just a scientific walking miracle. I mean, seriously, it's just a beauty. Every time the Quran or the Hadith get definite science wrong, it's just a miracle. Kind of like Dr. Fauci. Kind of like Dr. Fauci in the vaccine. It's just a miracle. We'll just reinterpret it. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, Darcy, if you could continue on after the yellow section.
Yeah, there's another point that people seem to miss is Amina was pregnant for 4 years with Muhammad.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So the only reason I'm pausing on that one because there's a piece of shariah coming up that's going to talk about the 4 years.
Okay, so continuing, there is no maximal number that may be born, as it is possible for women to give birth to 4 or more babies from one pregnancy.
In my neighborhood, we had the beach quintuplets. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the same day my twins were born. Everybody called and said, "You never know, could be 5."
Oh. Yeah. Okay, and B, the second condition is that the child is from the husband whom the waiting period is for. If the woman is pregnant from committing adultery or from a marriage that was invalid, after which the husband divorced her, the waiting period does not end when she gives birth, but rather she completes the waiting period of a woman who has been divorced.
So, does that make sense to you? I mean, why does she have to wait another 2 months? That's the part I do not understand. Okay, they believe she committed adultery. She had the baby. I mean, this is that belief you can have a baby 6 months apart. Really?
I have seen a couple have 2 babies 9 months apart, maybe 9.5, but 6 months.
I've seen that, yeah, but not 6 months. No, Yeah, you have to be wondering about the intelligence of this Allah, or the writer here. All right, we're gonna keep going. Where another hidden verse, and let's pick on Nico. And 9.4, please.
Okay. And likewise, in the case of pregnancy resulting from adultery, but this case is weak, and what is relied upon in it is that she completes the waiting period for divorce, and the pregnancy resulting from the adultery is not considered. Urging pregnancy. Okay. If she menstruates, the pregnancy ends with 3 purifications counted from the menstruation understood from the act. What
So
am I
here
missing here?
we have this. So they're backing up. They're saying if the woman is committed adultery, she gives birth. All right. Now they're going to add another 3 months. So, I mean, so they're saying she was found to be pregnant. So she could have been. This could be a whole freaking year. 9 plus 3. They know she got pregnant from an adultery case, and so now her divorce, her time period of being in the house and not being allowed to leave. Yeah, it's 9 plus. That's a whole year, people. That she can be in this waiting period, in this limbo state, and who becomes the daddy? We're going to be talking about that next week. But this is just, it's sick. Can you imagine? You're getting a divorce. You told your wife you're. I mean, I'm picking on the guys here. You tell your wife you're getting a divorce, and now she has to. And I'm going to say with Islam, they expect you to buy a place for the wife, or if she's willing, she and the other wives can live in the same house. Oh, this is going to get more technical as time goes on. What does that mean? We're going to talk about that in a minute, but if they're living in the same house, they're stuck there for a year, you said you divorced them, this is not going to go well. And especially if someone has committed adultery, this is where the woman, or I mean, I'm not saying she's accused of it. They're not even doing anything more than saying she's accused of it. Yeah. All right. Okay. Eric, would you mind at 9.5, please? Oops. He might be busy. All right. N9.5. The minimal duration.
Sorry, I was muted. What was it? The left side or the right?
The left side.
Okay. The minimal duration of a pregnancy, a form which a live child is born, is 6 months, while the maximum is 4 years. What is that? What is that?
That's Muhammad's birth year. 4 years after his daddy died.
That's right. That's right. That's in the Hadith literature.
So somebody do a quick search and find out the longest gestation period for a mammal.
Wait. Can you read that again? Because I kind of was having I kind of missed it. Can you read it again, please? I'm sorry.
Okay. The minimal duration of a pregnancy from which a live child is born is 6 months, while the maximum is 4 years. I want to know where they got their science from. It's not from observation. It's not from experimentation. It's not from any form of science. Maybe Hadith science. It's not science. And anybody.
4 years.
Okay, the African elephant can be pregnant for up to 22 months.
Okay, that's almost 2 years.
That's almost That's an elephant, for Pete's sake.
This is I didn't think there was anything for 4 years. Okay.
Well, maybe it just took Muhammad that long to grow because, the bones grow and then the flesh has covered the bones and then...
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you got to sit here and
The longest
where is
pregnancy was 375 days, reported in 1945 when a lady in Los Angeles gave birth.
I still don't believe that one. I'm sorry.
That's the year and a half. That's 12 and a half months.
Yeah.
And even then, that's hard to believe, knowing what we do about,
I have heard of a woman going over 9 months, maybe into 10, and they induce labor because the child's not going to survive.
Well, they put 42 weeks as where to go? 42 weeks because they put that as the maximum now because of increased risk to both the mother and the baby, is what it says.
Yes. So something's wrong with this. I mean, the only reason for the 4 years is to justify Mo not being called a bastard. That's the only reason. So we could say we could say Mo is the son of his mother. Oh, they all know what that means. They say it about Jesus. Yeah, he's a bastard. Because we know that his mother committed an act of adultery. She was not married when she got pregnant. And that's the only answer we have, unless there's another answer here. Mo isn't real. They made this legend up and it didn't come together as well as they wanted it to. And that's another possible here. Because if you have to justify this, they're making Mo out to be a miracle. And if that's the only reason for putting this in, they've just screwed up the entire world of science. Now you got to ask yourself, do you trust an OBGYN who is Muslim who believes you can be pregnant for 4 years?
I also want to point out that Muslims, some do claim that Muhammad is the light of the world. So they're trying to give him a title of Jesus.
Yes. But then actually the term Muhammad is actually a term that is a title, and it is a title that was given to Jesus. And if you look up the coins, which I'm sure Eric has pictures of, if you look up the coins when Muhammad's name was first printed on coins, there's crosses there, Mahmed, and that's kind of mind-numbing by itself. I have a picture someplace of that, but I don't have that right now. N9.6, if a woman is not pregnant and has menstrual periods, her waiting period ends when 3 intervals between menstruations have finished. I thought the purpose, this is the part that kills me. I thought the entire purpose of making sure the woman went through a period afterwards was to make sure she wasn't pregnant. This just proves that the creator of this Allah, doesn't understand what a period means. But yet he's supposed to be the creator of humanity. We have a problem.
And there's another problem to that, because I personally know other women that they had their periods the whole way through the pregnancy.
Yeah, there you'll find that there. I think you'll even, when we hear about the woman with an issue of blood, we never hear that she didn't give birth. There's a whole bunch of possibles here. Again, this is going to, there's an actual piece coming up. I think that that's coming up. All right. If the woman's husband divorced her and her menses begins an instant later, her waiting period would end after 2 more intervals between menstruations had finished and a third menstruation begins. So really, I mean, do you really need to wait 3 times? Okay. Here we go. It's going to get worse. All right. Let's see. Whose turn is it? Back to Darcy. All right.
Okay, 9.7. If a woman is divorced during her menstrual period, she must wait until the end of 3 intervals between menstruations. When the 4th menstruation begins, her waiting period is over.
So do you remember we were reading about you're not supposed to divorce your wife during her menstrual period? So now,
Yeah.
And if you do, who gets punished? The woman gets punished. She has to wait longer. This is, I mean, come on. This is just, it's just mean. All right. Nico, I'm going to pick on you for this one. All right. Can you read this one on the left, please?
Okay. There is no difference in respect to the above rulings, whether a woman's menstrual periods are close together or far apart. Close together, for example, meaning a woman whose period lasts a single day and night and who has 15 days between periods. Okay. Were such a woman divorced just before the end of an interval between menses, then her waiting period would finish in 32 days and 2 moments.
That would be the waiting periods in between. Yeah.
All right. One of which would be part of the waiting period, i.e., the one in which the divorce occurred, and the second of which would not be part of it, namely, that in which became evident that the waiting period was over by the onset of a subsequent menstruation. Okay. If such a woman were divorced at the end of the menstrual period, her waiting period would be 47 days plus a moment. These are the shortest possible waiting periods.
So Darcy, you said some women. I'm not female. I don't really like. This is an uncomfortable discussion for most guys, and I personally try to stay out of this conversation normally. But 15 days between cycles. Have you heard of anyone doing that?
No.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's. Again, I'm thinking that the majority, it's going to be about 28 days. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is what I would call micromanagement. And they're just trying. I don't have another way to describe it. Every little rule, every little, you have to have it. This is the guy who has OCD who's writing stuff like this. It's sick.
And psychosis.
Yeah.
Oh,
we have some good comments here in this side. I'm laughing. Yeah, the elephant. Yes, we talked about the elephant. 22 months. Yeah. But Muhammad took longer to bake. Twice an elephant. What does that make him? Was he born an adult? Wow. Born a 4-year-old. Ooh, that doesn't work too well either. I would hate to think of the size of the woman, how big she would have been. All right. Eric, can you read 9.9, please? Okay. Okay. The waiting period for a woman who does not menstruate. So we're talking, listen very closely here. Whether prepubescent or postmenopausal is 3 months. Okay, the child, you can have sex with her, is what they're saying, but she's not an adult. If a woman normally menstruates, but her periods have stopped for some reason, such as breastfeeding, that one just made me stop and think. I mean, will breastfeeding stop? I didn't do a quick search on that, but will breastfeeding stop menstruation? I have, honestly, I'm not an expert on any of this, but it still makes me wonder why they would think this thing. Women will breastfeed for a long time, and I just can't see them breastfeeding causing menstruation to stop. It says, then she must wait until the age of menopause without any parents. Then she must wait until the age of menopause. Wait a minute. She just gave birth. She's been breastfeeding. And now she's got to wait until menopause? Wow. Can you imagine this? I mean, happening? I mean, that you get menopause and while you're breastfeeding, and now you have. What are they? They don't define this. Keep real close to us. They wait until the age of menopause. Waiting period is 3 months. Okay, really. A woman must wait 9 months, and if neither pregnancy nor menses appear, she's considered to be menopausal, and her waiting period is 3 months more, which is a total of an entire year. I think most women experience other signs besides having a period when they're going through menopause. And those notable hot flashes and other symptoms, yes, there is no way a woman would not know. It just kind of, you got to sit here and wonder about the stupidity of the person who wrote
you
this.
Trust me on the hot flashes. It was bad for a while, but
I don't understand why. I mean, this is as misogynistic as it gets. This guy is deciding he knows more about a woman's bodily functions than a woman. That's the only way I can read this.
Wrong. Every single time they get that wrong.
Well, that means he's got to be like Allah. I mean, and if it's a guy doing this, it's not Allah. Okay, then it's not Allah's law. Oh, but if Allah's a puppet, it just leaves you asking all sorts of questions. How stupid is the creator of this? Unfortunately, not very bright, and again, encouraging sex with prepubescent girls. And we're at 9.9. This is what Eric was talking about. All right, we're going to go on. Look at the right. See the Arabic, how short it is? This is all in the divorce Idda. That's all it says. They added all these extra words to say this is all. All right. Now, I'm going to pick on who. Let's see, who read last?
I'll go again if you want. I have no
Okay. All right. Yeah, this is bizarre because again, they in the Google Translate it said death kit, and I put the correct word up there, Idda, because I had checked with Usama on this, and this does not make sense. No matter how many times I look at it, it does not make sense. So N 9.11, please, Miko.
All right, on the left one. On the left, right?
Yes.
All right. If a woman's husband dies, even if during the waiting period of a non-finalized divorce, then if she is pregnant, her waiting period ends when she gives birth, as previously mentioned. But if not, if the deceased wife is not pregnant from him, her waiting period is 4 months and 10 days. no matter whether she normally menstruates or not, and no matter whether the husband has had sexual intercourse with her or not.
Okay, this is just so the guy dies. This is disinheritance. That's what they're talking about. They want her to
Okay.
finish the divorce so she gets nothing.
Yeah, so that that's yeah. So why would she need to divorce him if he's already dead? But okay, so it's about inheritance. It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw this, I had to stop and read and think about it. And we had a section on inheritance. We barely touched on it because I am not a genius on some of this stuff, so I have to go ask more people to be wiser on that section. We'll go back to it, but again, the woman gets nothing here. She's divorced, and it's not like Western laws where the woman can get money until the day the ex-husband dies. That's just reality here and in the Western world sometimes, but that's here you get nothing if you're divorced. All right. Now we're up to this last part. Darcy, can you read this section, please?
9.12. All this applies to a free woman. However, if his wife is a slave or a woman who has been divorced, then the period of waiting for a pregnant woman after giving birth and others to menstruate is 2 days. And for a woman who does not menstruate, a month and a half. And for a woman who has died, 2 months and 5 days.
Wait. The woman died. Let's try that again. The woman died, and they're not going to bury her for 2 months and 5 days? Wait, she doesn't get disinherited.
Wait, what the hell is this? Wait, stop. What the hell is this? I mean, seriously, a woman dies, they're not going to bury her for 2 months. Why?
No. This is insane. I mean, again, this is an OCD person who went overboard, and the woman has been
Wait. So a woman dies and they can't bury her for 2 months to make sure she's not pregnant? Is that where they're going with this? Did I miss something?
I mean, well, she can't. Okay, so understand when they're saying this Idda is the woman has to stay in the house. So, really, that place is going to be stinking. I mean, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. So she dies, and they're still going to make her stay. I'm sorry. Not to be mean,
This is
but
called death. It's called death.
2 months. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Okay, I live in the north. I get it when the ground is too solid to dig. Even with power tools, it can be so solid you can't dig. All right, but
Oh, right, yeah.
insane. We're talking about
Well,
desert people. No.
well, yeah, in the desert, that would probably start the stake and probably. Actually, we could probably Google it because they got all the body farms all over the place now. But yeah, I'll do that. I'll ask Rock. You know what? Let me ask Rock. I'll get back to you this. Hold on a second.
Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. All right. I think this might be the last.
All I can think about now is they were waiting for her to return to life like Lazarus.
They're expecting the dead woman to feed the baby within her, maybe. I don't know. Again, notice the free woman. That's where they immediately decide, oh, we're not translating that. It means they're slaves. And if the wife is a slave, so if a slave marries a man, she continues to be a slave. Understand that.
So, sorry to interrupt, but I just asked Rock. And yes, the FBI is not looking at me. I'm just saying, I mean, I just searched for how long does it take for a body to stink in the desert? Oh, yeah, that's going to go in my profile online. I'm just saying. But in a
Yeah.
desert environment, a dead body can start to emit an odor within 12 to 24 hours after death.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Once we're when rigor mortis sets in, the stink starts to come. And yeah, when they talk about with Lazarus, he's in the grave. They say for I think it was 4 days, and they, excuse me, he stinks. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That's when he
And the
starts thinking
woman,
about that, he's resurrected, and the stench must have been removed from him because I'm sure his sisters embraced him. Otherwise, yeah. All right.
yeah. Okay. And the woman who has been married upon suspicion of having had intercourse, she must observe the waiting period as for a divorced woman.
You notice here they didn't say the woman. Okay, the woman who has been married. Okay, on suspicion of having had intercourse. Has been married on suspicion of having had intercourse. So
So
she
fornication
still,
before marriage.
yeah, has been married on so she was forced into marriage. A woman has been married on suspicion of having had intercourse with a guy. So they kind of forced her. This is what they call like the shotgun wedding, is what you hear about here. Okay. And they're going to make her have a waiting period for a divorced woman. This is kind of weird. Yeah. All right, we're going to keep going. I think, yeah. Now, this is going to get bizarre. When we're talking about the Idda, what happens? So on the right, this is the Google Translate. The woman in waiting must remain in the house. Neither the husband nor his family has the right to expel her from it, nor does she have the right to leave. If the husband agrees to her leaving it to change a need, it is not permissible. As for the wife who has been divorced, by divorce or annulment, may go out during the day to meet her needs and fulfill her rights. Okay, she can go to the bathroom. She can go to the store to get food. That's it. You can only go out during the day to meet her needs. Most likely, the toilet isn't in the place in this case. So this is why they're saying to meet the needs. I thought this was interesting. She can't leave. Now, in the beginning, it says the woman in waiting must remain in the house. There's a missing element here we're going to get into. I mean, it says the husband and his family they don't have the right to expel her from it. So this could mean the husband and his other wives. It could mean the husband and his mommy and daddy want her to get lost, but they can't do that. Keep thinking about what does the woman have to live with her husband after he divorces her? And that's what the Idda period is. She has to stay in the house. Has it said anywhere here he lives with her? And if you're looking at the exact wording, there's nothing saying he lives with her. Pay real close attention to that. This is kind of surprising. I mean, on the left it says, if the husband agrees to allow her to leave when there is no necessity, it is still not permissible. So she can't leave without a necessity to leave. Again, I'm saying going to the toilet, going to get food, that's her only excuses. Again, he still has a responsibility to provide for her during this time period. Oh, this next piece. Here we go. And let's see who's up next. I don't know if Eric's still with us or not. I think we're
I'll do
back.
it. And that's the
Okay,
worst.
go ahead. Yeah.
9.14. The waiting period must take place in the same lodging where the divorce occurred, and the woman may not be moved to the other quarters unless there is a real necessity, such as fear for her person or property, or when the landlord objects, such as when the house in question was on loan to the husband and its time has expired, or because of considerable annoyance to the woman from neighbors or the husband's relatives, or annoyance to them from her, in all of which cases she may move to the nearest available housing. Cool.
Yeah. So he still has to provide for her housing. He has, this brings in all sorts of cases. What happens if he said, "I divorce you," and he's in his mother and father's house? There's a whole bunch of questions to be asked here. What if the place where he says this is her parents' place? The woman may not be moved to other quarters unless there's a real necessity. You've got to start asking these questions because it doesn't make sense. Now, Darcy, if you would read the top part, this is going to get interesting.
Sure. 9.15. It is unlawful for the husband of a woman in her waiting period to be alone with her or share the same housing. He has to move out unless she is in a separate wing of the house with its own kitchen, restroom, cistern, and stairs to the roof, in which case it is permissible to share the housing, which is as if it were two neighboring houses.
So this is like just say in Western world, it's like having an in-law apartment, or you're having an apartment type house, or you have townhouse type setting, or apartments, multiple apartments in your building. But notice the difference between N9.5 in English and the Google Translate of the Arabic. And he is free from seclusion on the divorced woman. He doesn't have to live with her. He is free from it. Does this say it's unlawful? No. I find this changing in wording
It doesn't make sense. They're married, but it's unlawful for them to be in the same house.
Yeah.
They can be in separate rooms, but
And then in the Google Translate, it says in the waiting period or living together, unless each of them is in a separate house with its own facilities, people, blah, blah, blah. Then it is permissible because they are like two adjacent houses. And I think if you go down to it, if you're married to multiple women, each woman is supposed to be entitled to her own place. And again, if he's not wealthy enough, you share the same house and the women have to agree to this. Then, if you've agreed to that and he divorces you, you're stuck living during that divorce period in that room of your bedroom, and you still have to share it with the other wives. If you agreed to that, the man isn't going to leave. I think this is where I think women really need to look at Sharia before they marry a Muslim man. This is scary stuff. It's and I have a problem with the wording of that sentence that I highlighted. And he is free from seclusion. He doesn't have to live with her. It sounds like it's his choice whether he lives with her or not in the Arabic. In the English, it says it's unlawful. This is a huge difference. Unlawful and being free. one provides a choice, one doesn't. You have to. What was it? It's almost like deception. What were they trying to tell us? And this is where I don't like the deception of the Arabic. All right. N9.16. Here we go. This is an interesting section. It says avoiding adornment after a husband's death. So we're going back and forth. We talked about a death. I'm just going to come back here. All right. Back here. N9.11, we talked about death, right? We talked about the woman who dies during the divorce, having to wait. And then we start talking about the waiting period. And now we're going back to what happens when someone dies. On the left, it says avoiding adornment after a husband's death or a finalized divorce. That's what it says on the left in the English. It is obligatory for a woman whose husband has died while she was his wife or died while she was in the waiting period to avoid adornment, which is putting on jewelry and making herself pretty, during the subsequent waiting period. It is recommended for a woman to do so during the waiting period of a finalized divorce. It is unlawful for a woman to avoid adornment longer than 3 days for the death of anyone besides her husband. Avoiding adornment means not to enhance her beauty, wear jewelry or cosmetics, and so forth. A woman avoiding adornment should not wear solid colors. Really. If intended to beautify, such as blues, greens, reds, yellows, style of her hair, or use cosmetics, this is okay. She may wear silk, wash her hair, or for cleanliness, or take care of her nails during time. Okay. Look at the right. The wife and the revocable divorce, this is the first and second marriage, all right, must observe mourning during the waiting period of death. And the way this is worded, I have to sit here and wonder how accurate the translation is. So I didn't ask Usama for this one, which I wish I did. And he is mourning the divorce. It is forbidden for a dead person other than the husband to visit for more than 3 days. It is to include adornment and not wear jewelry. Do not apply kohl or ointment to the eyes or anything similar. At night, remove it during the day. Do not wear clear blue, green, red, yellow clothing. Do not comb the hair. Do not use perfume on the body, clothing, or food. And she may wear a comb, wash the head for cleaning, trim the nails. You have to sit here. Why are they even talking about this? I mean, whoever wrote this is a nutcase in OCD. This is, you've just got to sit here. Okay, you can be in. Why are you even concerned? She's not allowed to come out. She's not allowed to leave the house. What reason does she have to dress up or not adorn herself? However she wants to be. If we're following the English, the husband's not going to be there. This is just weird. What's he going to know about it?
Yeah, and what's weirder is that the third sentence in, it's forbidden for a dead person other than the husband to visit more than 3 days. That would just come out of nowhere.
Well, that's where I saw that and I was like, wait a minute. Okay. For a dead person other is...
So if the husband's dead, it's okay, but with not the dead husband, maybe.
I think that's somewhat of an error in translation. I think that's like the intention is that she's not supposed to mourn more than 3 days for anyone but her husband. But like I said, this is a mess. That third sentence sounds like a mess. Over on the left, they're like, well, she can't mourn. She can't avoid adornment for anyone but her husband. This is, again, it's a mess. If he's gone, why? I mean, again, if no one's there, this is my big point with this. If no one's there, if she's got to stay home, who cares? I mean, so she's mourning. I get mourning a spouse who has passed away, even if it's a divorced spouse. I get that. But if she has to stay in the house for those 3 months, why are they worried about how she's dressing? She only gets to go out to take care of her necessities. Okay, she's running to the store, or she's getting food. She might be going out to the field to pick food or to milk a cow or a goat or whatever. And this is a concern, what she's wearing, how she's treating herself. You have to sit here and wonder what's going on. Maybe maybe they're afraid she's rejoicing. Being free. I don't. Yeah. They want her
there
to
would
appear.
have to be witnesses, or at least one witness to whatever the widow or the woman's doing.
Yeah, this is like, how are you supposed to be witnessing this? Were you following her to the bathroom? Were you following her around when she went to the store? I mean, really? This is just like stupid. I mean, just nonstop OCD. All right, Darcy, can you read 09.17, please?
Yeah. If the husband of a woman in her waiting period takes her back but divorces her again before having had sexual intercourse with her, then a new waiting period starts over from the beginning, though it is unlawful for him to do that merely to prolong her waiting period. If a husband releases his wife for payment, remarries her during the release's waiting period, but divorces her before having had intercourse, then she merely finishes the remainder of the release's waiting period.
It's like, again, the wife pays the price. I mean, the only way that this works out better for the wife is, okay, he releases the wife for payment, remarries her during the release. It just seems like the wife loses. If he returns to the woman in waiting and then divorces her before consummation, she begins a new waiting period. But again, why would she begin a new waiting period if, again, this is the issue? If he hasn't had sex with her, really, I mean, she's got to start it all over again and you haven't done anything? And I guess the whole point was to invalidate. It is, again, it says there with the note, it's forbidden. On the right, I'm reading, it's forbidden for him to do this to invalidate her waiting period. I'm sorry, but that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, pure selfishness.
Mm-hmm. And it's nutty. I'm sorry, it's nutty. All right, we're almost done. Nico, can you read N 9.18, please?
Okay. When a woman claims that her waiting period has expired, if it does not comprise a particular number of months, but rather consist of a number of intervals between menstruations or of giving birth, within an amount of time in which it could have possibly ended, then her word is accepted. If news of a husband's death reaches a woman after his death by 4 months and 10 days, her waiting period is already over, since her knowledge of his death is not a condition for the waiting period.
Again, why would she be? If he's dead, he's dead. Why? Because she finished the waiting period. Oh, why are you even bothering to comment on this? He's dead.
Yeah,
I mean,
weren't they living side by side? Different houses connected. So
Well-
how could she have not known?
Well, so there's a case. You have to remember the case where the husband. Okay, I'm looking at the case that I was watching in a documentary for Britain, where this guy had married woman in from Pakistan. He brought her to London. All right, he married her, then brought her to London. He has a house with her in London. He goes back to Pakistan, marries another woman, and keeps her there. All right. So in this case, he spends a few months with this wife, then he comes home and spends a few months with that wife. And the woman in London wanted him to divorce her because he was married to a second wife. So if he's in Pakistan and he's not contacting the other wife in London, that's the only thing I can think of. And again, if the man has not this 4 months, if the man hasn't had sex with his wife for 4 months, this is grounds for her to file for a divorce, because he's not again, the sexual relations in the 4 months there. That's the point right there. So she's justified for filing for divorce. He's dead. It just, you got to sit here and, yeah. It's just kind of bizarre. I'm sorry. It is weird stuff. Stupid. I liked, yeah, Ed, I think you're right. I think it's all about OCD. The guy who wrote this stuff, it has to be a male because he's stupid as far as female anatomy. And it's definitely, if Allah is a guy, that would explain it, or a puppet, that would explain the stupidity level. But I can't see how this OCD piece, obsessive compulsive disorder, is what I'm talking about. I mean, I know people with this that do not have, they would never do something like this, write some of these things. They might do other things, but this is just nutty. I mean, you'd be wondering about the psychiatric needs of the person who wrote some of these things. Really, you think somebody could be born 4 years after conception? Really? I mean, where's your evidence? Please, I'd love to see the evidence for that one. You know what they provide for evidence? Well, Muhammad's mommy met her husband and 4 years later gave birth. Wait. You do know that a baby only bakes basically for 9 months. 4 years later, so mommy met somebody else, and you're just not going to tell the truth. That's, yeah. All right, I think this is the last one coming up. Yeah, this is the last one. Here we go. Whoever owns a female slave, it is forbidden for him to have intercourse with her or listen to her until she has been covered after giving birth, if she is pregnant, with a veil, if she is menstruating, otherwise it's made public. Really? How does this, do you see anything, Darcy, here about divorce? And this first
Sorry?
Do you see anything in N9.20, that first sentence down the bottom? Do you see anything in that first sentence about divorce?
No.
Okay. If she is his soul and he buys her, the marriage is annulled. And it is permissible for him to have a right hand without waiting for her to be purified. Okay, the right hand is a slave. If she's okay, he buys her, he's bought a slave. The marriage is annulled, and so he's bought his wife that he was the marriage was he was going to. It's really confusing. He buys a woman, makes her a slave. She was going to originally be married, but now he's annulled it and he's bought her, so now she's a slave. It's permissible for him to have his slave without waiting for her to be purified. Because she's now a slave. He doesn't have to wait. Does that make sense? He didn't divorce her. He just bought her as a slave. She's just a slave. And whoever marries his female slave or writes a contract. So let's be honest here. Let's be honest. That word marries is probably has sex with. Whoever has sex with his female slave or writes a contract with her, then the Nika contract is no longer valid. He does not have her until he purifies her. So he doesn't want to have sexual relations with her if he's basically renting her out.
Yeah, and so that second line, let's see, or listen to her until she has been covered, but covered with what? And then after giving birth and with the veil.
That would be covered with a veil.
If she's menstruating, but it doesn't, that after giving birth, what's she been covered with?
Well, she doesn't have to. So the female slaves in Islam don't have to cover their top. All right, they can be topless. That's if you did some. Yeah, that was an actual mufti answered a woman's question about this. What's the difference? I mean, how does a woman look who is a slave? And said the woman doesn't have to wear anything from here down to her waist. All right, it's disgusting. This is all about sex slaves and renting out their women. It really has nothing to do with divorce. And I mean, you have a sex slave getting pregnant. There's no divorce here. And yet they're putting all this stuff about sex slavery here.
Yeah, and that last sentence, that is very interesting. Whoever has intercourse with her, they cannot marry until he has covered her. So it's a simple.
You forgot the most important word here. Without her permission. So whoever rapes her, it is forbidden for him to marry her until he has covered her.
Right. So he covers her, and then they can get married.
So he pays the debt he owes her from Muta. I mean, yeah. This is where you got to sit here and ask all sorts of questions. Why? I mean, this is why they hid this in Arabic. They didn't want us to read this. Thank God there is something called Google Translate, and there are other people out there who could probably translate this better. But you have to sit here and wonder about why is this even, again, this is insanity is how I would look at it. This is something they don't want us to look at. They're talking about raping a woman here. Whoever has intercourse with her without permission. This is a rape. He can't marry her until he pays off or gives her something to wear. You've got to. This is just disgusting. I'm going to stop here because the next section is about who gets the kid. And we'll talk about that. If you want to support the ministry that we're doing here, you can buy one of these books that's out, and these are now out for sale. So I'm all excited about the new book covers. I read I read one piece of these every week. I have about at least about another 10 more to go, and I'm still writing sections of new devotionals every day, just about. That's part of my devotions. This is really what we've been reading has nothing to do with the living God. It's so nonsensical as far as what Western people would consider common sense. I cannot for the life of me find reason to accept, I'd say 99.9% of what we've been reading. There are a few points occasionally, I mean, like this, you'll find something that kind of makes sense. But they say a clock is right 2 times a day. So, yeah. Even a clock that's not working is right 2 times a day. This is crazy. I mean, we just read a legislation of rape of a sex slave. They put it into law. This Allah legalizes the rape of slaves. This is why. Oh, so I will share this now that I'm saying that.
Well, real quick, Ball. We call that pimping. We call that pimping and prostitution in civilized world. That's what that is. Sex trafficking, if you will. Yeah.
And I'm going to pull this over and share this. I found a tweet, and we're going to be talking about this on Usama's show. Let me share this. All right. This is from Sebastian Tyne. And I got to go back down now. Sorry. Go back up. Okay, here we go. Sebastian Tyne. Finnish police dared to publish sex crime records based on nationality. The numbers are horrifying. Compared to Finns, the Finnish people, the rates of sexual offenses committed are 6 times higher by Somalians, 10 times higher by Iraqis, 12 times higher by Afghans and Congolese, 15 times higher by Syrians. Why is this? We just read that it's legal to rape a sex slave. Oh. That makes jihad allowing rape. I mean, you have to understand that. They consider the person they take as part of jihad, you can rape them. That's how you get sex slaves. That's the only time they can be created. Slaves are created from conquering. Let me just read another one of these stories this week. I want to share with you some of this horrors that it's just so bad. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. Crone reported that a 74-year-old woman was grabbed from behind on her usual rounds. She was walking a dog and forced into a gray station wagon by Bosnian Muslims aged 21 and 29. While one of them was supposed to have been keeping an eye on her in the passenger seat, the second guy forced her to engage in a sex act. According to the woman, the tormentor pulled her hair during the attack and punched her several times in the face. The bruises and injuries were documented by the hospital. According to the victim, the main perp asked her how old she was during the attack. The woman says she pretended to be a little older and answered 76 to scare the man off. But he replied, "Good. Then you can't get pregnant." And police were on the scene relatively quick as locals thought she was being robbed and asked for help. This is Austria, just in case you were wondering. This is Austria. This is just, we're reading so much of this. It's not just women being punished this way. There was a story this week about a boy being raped. Let's see if I can find that one. Yeah. Pretty sure I had that. Or it's just so bad, it's disgusting. I don't have another way to look at it. Did anybody hear about what happened in Australia? Is the thing I should ask. Did anybody hear about the two?
Are you talking about the nurses?
The two pretend doctors?
Right, the nurses. They were nurses.
Yes, they
And
were.
they were talking about how. So the latest I heard was the male nurse. He asked a coworker or former coworker to clean out his locker, and the former coworker's like, "Yeah, no, I'm calling the police." And the police searched it, and they found a vial of morphine in his locker. So, was he using the morphine, or was he going to inject it into Israeli patients or Jewish patients?
Well,
we don't know.
The question also is how much of the vial of morphine was used. Why? I mean, again, this is a controlled substance. In the Western world, it's under a certain control. You've got to start asking questions about how did the morphine move from point A to point B, which is in a double locked box. All right. It should be not only a double locked box, it might be in a separate room in this double locked box. How did it move from there to his locker without? I mean, there's usually you have to have two people sign off on this kind of a controlled drug. It's more complicated.
You remember that woman that used to go on Kenny's channel, that nurse Katrina? You remember her? She always wore the niqab or whatever when she was on camera. You remember her?
I didn't pay attention to her. Kenny then probably.
Okay. Well, anyway, no, she used to go on a show. Anyway, well, when there was a Kenny show. Well, I looked her up, and it turns out she was a heroin or a morphine addict, and she got busted as a nurse and got suspended as a nurse. She had to go to treatment or whatever for it. But no, she was stealing morphine from patients. In other words, cancer patients were prescribed a certain vial of morphine. She would write down on the charts that she gave the cancer patient the morphine and just keep the morphine for herself. That's what they do. Oh.
So there's another part to this story. I'm just gonna. You know what? I could play. You know what? I'll play the video. And there's a second part to the story that goes beyond what you shared, Rad. I've been keeping up on this story. I have the link. Just give me a second. I think people need to see this, and I will share out the link so everyone can have this. You know what I'm going to say? If anybody wants this link, you can contact me. I just got to see how long the link is because it might not. Yeah, it's too long. So I'm going to tell you is if you want this link, please contact me. I will send it to you. This is disgusting. I had a lot of questions, and the original question Usama had when I shared it with him, it was, "Is this real?" And I said, "Yes, it is." So when he's like, "Is this an act? Is this?" I mean, these are good questions to ask. I think they should be asked. why is this conversation going on?
Let's just go to tiny URL to shorten it. Share. Oh.
I can do that. I haven't tried that yet. I can do that. All right. So the guy on the bottom is an Israeli. He is a radio host, and I don't know how he connected with these people. It does say Australian doctors. The reason it says Australian doctors is these people who are up on the top are claiming to be doctors in Australia. They are in Australia, but we know already that they were nurses. This gets bad, and I'll tell you more.
You know what? Oh shit.
How are you, man?
Good, how are you, my man?
Pretty good. Are you a nurse? A doctor?
I'm a doctor, my man.
A doctor? For what?
In hospital. What about you? Where you from?
I'm from Israel, from the Holy Land.
You know what? I'm gonna be really honest with you.
All right.
I'm gonna be really honest with you. You actually got a really, really beautiful eyes.
Thank you,
but
man.
I'm so upset that you're Israeli. Like, eventually you're gonna get killed and you're gonna go to Jahannam, inshallah. Like, these pretty eyes, they should stay in this world for longer.
Why do you think? Why do you think I'm gonna get killed?
It's Palestine's country, not your country. You piece
How are
of
you?
shit.
What's your name?
One day, your time will come, and you will die the most.
We spread
listen to me.
peace.
Listen to me.
And
when
you spread
when your
death.
time comes.
How are you, doctors? Wait.
I want you to remember my face.
Okay,
so
okay.
You can understand
Gotcha.
That you will
I have a question though.
Death.
All right, for sure. I have a question though.
Yeah,
I have a question. Let's say an Israeli. God forbid.
I won't treat them. I'll kill them.
You'll kill them? So if an Israeli is in Australia and God forbid something happened to him and he comes to your hospital, would you kill him?
You have no idea how many Israeli Khara dog came to this hospital and I sent him to Jahannam. I literally sent him to Jahannam.
So the truth is this. That is real. It was verified that these are real people. That those two are nurses. The two nurses were fired by the Australian hospital. There is more information on this. These two doctors were identified by 7 News out of Israel. When they were reported on the video, they wrote that the healthcare workers let go or basically fired, or after they threatened to kill the Israeli patients. The gentleman came from Afghanistan when he was 12 years old, and his family was rescued by the Australian Navy aboard basically a rubber boat. And he was on TV as an aspiring doctor as a teenager. Ahmed Rashad Nadir and his female colleague were fired from Bankstown Hospital in Sydney's West on this last Wednesday after the video bragging about killing Israeli patients went viral. Now, I'm going to share with you another video that you likely haven't seen. I mean, the video of, the information about the morphine, that was a surprise. They did go into their houses. They did find other things that they have taken out. All right. That's important to understand. And let me see if I can get this to work. Just a second here, and I'll put it back up. This is, I have to say, when I read this, it was a shocker. Let me just get this ready. Here we go. Oh, come on, work. Let me hit refresh one more time. Maybe it'll come up faster.
This is the view across the bridge from person X.
Some people shoot for the stars.
What are you going to do with the money if you win?
Well, I'd love to go into space. It wouldn't get me all the way there, but it's a starting point.
All right.
I wouldn't go if it's not going to get you all the way there.
Meet the 1% Club UK on the special night Tuesday, then Wednesday.
Here we go. Come on, work. Worked earlier. They might be taking this down. And here we go. Yeah, this is it. No, it's not. Wow. All I can think of is they might be trying to take this down. And okay, I might be on the, I know what's going on here. I'm sorry. I am on the wrong date here. Let me pull up the other date. This is this one. That's what's going on. I'm on the wrong date. And I'll pull this over. Joy between different monitors. This is the one that's, this is still going on, people.
Under
this
the Liberal
is
government, by the way, not under Minns. He cancelled his operation at Bankstown Hospital because a friend of his who worked at the hospital said,
okay,
if you Jewish don't come here, they spit on the food of the Jews before it's delivered. They don't do mandatory post-ops. They leave their beds soiled for as long as they possibly can. They make life as difficult as possible for Jewish patients. So he said, I cancelled my operation at the hospital because of that. That now, as I said, that's before Minns. This has been going on at this hospital, this Jewish hatred for years.
So this information is just so bad. The fact that Australia TV is covering this is quite a statement. In fact, it's on Sky News. It might not be on any other Australian station, is the thing I will say. Sky News tends to be conservative, and the fact that they're covering it may reveal that nobody else is daring to cover it. It's sad. So I will try and, if this information is just scary to think that there's a hospital like this. I have been asked, let me put this a little differently. Here we go. I've been looking at and asking questions about, okay, if this is happening in a Western country, what happens when you want to go to the hospital in a predominantly Muslim area and you're Christian or Jewish and you live in the Western world? So does anyone have questions about what would happen now? You've got to start asking. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. I thought you were actually asking me. Go ahead, keep going. My bad.
What can you trust the doctors and the nurses in a predominantly Muslim population where there's a hospital? Could you trust them in this situation where I'd say the hospital is predominantly run by Muslims? I don't know that I could, because there's no one to keep you in check, is what it seems. And it's quite a statement. The fact that they're saying this has been going on for years and no one has covered it. Wow. I mean,
No, it's all because the Muslim slave victim.
Like the ADL.
They want to better their lives. They claim to, but what they want is to bring their former lives over to where they're going.
that's exactly it. They want to bring their former lives there, and that is the issue. The ADL doesn't do anything these days. It does not defend the Jews. In fact, right now it's acting against them. So until the ADL begins to work for the Jews, which it's not doing lately, if anything, it's been defending those who stand against Israel.
How so? That's the first time I heard that.
Yeah, the American Defamation League has not been working to protect Israel, protect Jews in America.
Is that since the Great Purge, or?
I would say it's definitely. It's been worse. It started to go bad during Obama's day, and during Biden's time, it went downhill like it just jumped off a cliff. Maybe it'll start doing things right again. I don't know. But it's an organization at this point I do not trust. And most of the Jews I know do not trust it at this point. So I would like to say the Anti-Defamation League was what we're talking about. I was saying American is Anti-Defamation League. Do not trust it at this point to defend Jews. They've been taking on like anti-Islamophobia type things as well. I mean, they're helping Islamophobia claims.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's not like it was designed to be. It's bad.
Well, I mean, it's Anti-Defamation League. It should be defending everyone, not just Jews, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's just one in my mind, at least. I think there's just more evidence that BRICS has taken over worldwide. When the Anti-Defamation League is propagating dawa, that's pretty alarming.
Yes, it is. It is. Rad, did you want to talk about those dawa wars before we go off? Oh, he's in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, real quick. Well, actually, here's something shocking that I just found from what's his name? This is actually just posted. Let me pull it up here. From one of the Dawa guys. Let me share my screen here real quick. Hold on. Share screen. Yeah, whatever. Why does this come up new? Oh, I cleared mine.
Don't forget that sound button if it's got sound.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is just a screen grab that I did.
Can you grow it? Oh,
I can. No. Okay. Is that any better?
It was. And it
Well,
shrunk back.
All right. Hold on. Why don't I do this? Because it's right up in. Unless he took it down. Oh, he might have just taken it down. Yeah. Okay. Glad I grabbed it. Okay. Well, either way. So let me go back to my page. Okay. Find it here. Okay. Let's see if we can make it bigger. No, it won't. Okay. Can you still see it though? I'll read it to you. So this is from Daniel Hakachu. He says, wow, Sarashatsky, whoever that is, was so right. Here's the quote. Troubling quote from Saras, whoever this is. If a woman were told to earn her living, she would earn her with her genitals. Context. Husbands must provide because women are incapable of earning. Okay? God's quotes correctly, but something bothered me about this. How can Sarsky say such thing? But here Daniel's saying he's so right. That his mother, his sister, his nieces, his daughter, whoever, the only way they could earn a living would be whores. I can't do that. You know the thing from
yeah.
What do you call it? You know how he says it? First, she was a whore. Second, she was a whore. Ralphie from what do you call it? The mob series, The Sopranos. Anyway, I love that scene. But anyway, but yeah, no, this is what he's saying. This is tragic. And I found out more about this dude, this Daniel Hakachu. The reason why he says this, and no, this is serious. His sister back in 2007 was going to college in Southern California, and it says in all the news that is out there, either she took out an ad. Well, she definitely took out an ad in Craigslist. Some would just say she took out an ad. Some would say she took out an ad to be a math tutor, right? Okay, on Craigslist. But either way, she met this guy that later was her murderer,
okay, through a Craigslist ad. Okay, she was last seen walking out of her parents' house, getting on the back of this dude's motorcycle, okay, and riding off to a house party at his house. This doesn't sound like she took out and oh, by the way, he was like 36 years old at the time. She was 19. This doesn't sound like she was taking out an ad to be a math tutor. You know what I mean? She took out an ad for other reasons, okay? But evidently, he murdered her. He dumped the body in the ocean. The body's never been found. And this is outrageous. The dude only got 5 years, and he was out in a year and a half. And he confessed to it. He said he shot her up. He gave her cocaine and heroin, and she overdosed. And then he panicked, and he put her in a drum and dropped her off at sea, off of his sailboat.
Is he Muslim too?
No, this dude was a convicted pedophile, like 3-time convicted pedophile. No, this dude should not be. This dude should be in prison for the rest of his life. But that's beside the point. But he actually has. He's said in debates where he blames his sister for her own death. And this is what shaped this man. I mean, this man is bizarre. But anyway, so the Dawa wars, it continues, it heats up. They're attack-fearing each other. They're calling each other liars and the shaitans and all kinds of stuff. Poor Danny Boy, I have a feeling that if this keeps going, some Muslim is going to really attack-fear him and put him in the grave. I'm just saying, because he has no filter. He honestly cannot read the room. But it's sad about this dude. No, it really is sad. That story infuriates me and angers me. But here's something else I wanted to share with you all. Hold on, how do I stop sharing the screen? Am I still sharing the screen? Okay. This is real quick. This is on the, it's not on Dawa Wars, but it's on the Israeli release of the hostages. Well, let me pull it up. Okay. Here we go. So let me share the screen again. And this I can actually make bigger for you all. Okay, hold on. This is going to infuriate you all, as it infuriated me, so that's why I'm sharing it. Okay. So this is the official press release from Hamas. Can you all see it? You guys can see it? Looks good? Okay. The captive Sharia Bibas was working in the office of the Southern Command Commander for the Gaza Division in the Israeli Army and had previously also worked in Unit 8200. Okay. When we captured her, we brought her children to her out of compassion and provided with them everything in a house in Gaza. But the Israeli army deliberately killed them. So you see, people, Hamas was just being compassionate when they kidnapped the woman's children.
And that's why they put arrested on October 7th.
Yep.
On their coffins.
Yep. And they were being compassionate when they kidnapped this woman's children and brought them into a total war zone that they knew was going to be bombed to hell. You know what I mean? That's how they are. And the Muslims are eating this up. They're like, oh yes, Hamas is so compassionate and merciful. This is what we are dealing with, people. We are dealing with people who actually believe that the only way a woman can earn a living is through being a whore. A whore. I can't do it. I gotta get right. You know,
Shalmota.
A prostitute, a shamota. Okay? If it wasn't for men, that's how they would be. But they could only be a shamota because of men. You know what I mean? Okay? Anyway, so you have that, and you have these guys that really think it's compassion to kidnap a woman after they murdered like over 1,000 people, to kidnap a woman and her children and hold them captive in a war zone where they're getting bombed to smithereens. Why weren't they in the tunnels being kept safe with the Hamas leaders? You know what I mean?
This is while we're on this topic, you can go to Twitter and you can type in Israeli hostages. As twitterx.com is what it is actually now. And if you'll notice here, this is one of the Hamas networks. And I'm only going to play a few seconds. These are not Hamas. The Hamas is almost entirely eliminated. These are the Gazans. You see the ones with the green headbands? Those are Hamas.
They all come out to see the dead Jews. See the dead Jewish babies. Dude, there is something seriously wrong with these people. Okay, I'm talking like
wherever they go.
Mentally, no.
Yeah, wherever they go, they commit acts of sedition, acts of treason. And, you know, the one thing I like that Trump did by saying we should turn this into a Mediterranean Riviera, he started a discussion because he was trying to get, okay, so let's move these people out of Gaza. Let's move them to Egypt. Let's move them to Jordan. All of a sudden, the discussion starts at, oh, well, these people they aren't from here. Oh, so the claim of them being Philistines is now openly denied. I mean, they besides the people in Gaza, no one is claiming they are from there. That is one of the genius things. I never expected that to come from this discussion, but it has come from that. And that is what's going on. Now, these people who I showed and who Rad showed want Sharia for the entire world. Well, they not only want to wipe out the Jews, they want to wipe out the Christians as well.
Well, even if they are Philistines.
Well, they're not Greeks.
Well,
they're not Greeks.
Well, no, but it says for the Philistines, destroy them, right? They're to be totally annihilated and destroyed. Those are what, you know what I mean? So well, either way, it
they already have. They already have. But this is I've used this argument like you're talking about that. Okay, if they call themselves Philistines, the war will never end until the Philistines are wiped out. If they want to call themselves that, God has a destiny for them, and they do not want to face that. It's total annihilation.
Well, here's the thing. Here's another thing I'm pointing out to these numbskulls. They claim that Gaza is an open-air prison. They claim that Gaza is a concentration camp where genocide is being committed. So why on earth would they want to keep people in an open-air prison or in a concentration camp where genocide is being committed against them? And why on earth would these people want to return, okay, to an open-air prison where genocide is being committed? And why on earth would prisoners or people that are in a concentration camp not want to escape said concentration camp and never return? That would be like when we liberated Dachau and Auschwitz. Well, we didn't liberate Auschwitz, but the Russians did. Dachau, Auschwitz, Buchenwald, all these concentration camps. Did we sit there and say, no, you got to stay here, folks. You can't leave. This is your homeland. You know what I mean? No.
Fed them a little bit by little bit till they were able to walk and support.
And they got the hell out.
And they got out, and they never. Mm-hmm. I would be willing to bet 99% of them never returned.
Exactly.
Some have returned
for ceremonial purposes. Yeah. But no, but this is what they want for these people. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why is this so important to you? Why are you living in the West? Oh, and here's another thing, dude. If you ever hear any American Muslim, okay, talking about how the Jews are living on occupied land, or how they are occupiers, you tell them first you tell them they better find out where they live in the area, and then go look up the tribes and say you better give a land blessing to these tribes because you live on occupied land, and you better pray that these Native Americans do not rise up. No, seriously, would the Native Americans be justified then? Is your blood halal to them?
That
they would raise up?
Yeah, that is a claim they have been using here. That's why the leftists and the Muslims get along. Nicodemus, you have something to share?
Yeah, it's just the old Breitbart art summarizing how things will end with the kind of peace that they bring to the world, Islam and Muslims. I mean, you know, when there's nobody else left to genocide, they'll just the last Muslim would try to genocide himself. Stuff. So.
It's an unfortunate fact because if you actually read Sharia like we're doing, you will find that the goal is they want to eliminate all non-Muslims, and when they do that, they will be left to themselves. And now you have to have the Shiites kill off the Sunnis, kill off the Ahmadis, kill off, and they're already killing each other off more than they are the Christians and the Jews. There has never been peace in an Islamic land. The first 4 caliphs were executed by their own people. So, I mean, yeah. If you look at the only one that led Islam, if he ever existed, that didn't get killed by his own people is Muhammad. Muhammad was killed by a Jewish woman after he raped her, after killing her brothers and her father. And that's quite a horrid statement. Now, this is the best man that they have. This is the example that they have. And if, again, they claim, this is the Islamic claim of Muslims, they would rather have Ridda wars than jihad. Ridda wars are for the purification of Islam. So you're eliminating other hypocrites, other Muslims who don't believe what they believe. So if you actually study the history of India and Pakistan, you will find large swaths during the time the Britons were there. And they'll talk about, going back to the early 1900s, 1800s, they're talking about how one Muslim group would call another Muslim group heretics or hypocrites. And then one would call for a hijra, the one that's calling the other one. So the Muslims in the group that could accept that, okay, the guy they're following is a heretic, they run to the other group, and then they commit an act of jihad or they commit the Ridda war, eliminating the other group. So this has been going on for centuries, people. And that's just a small example.
Real quick on that to enforce that. Actually, Jay Doc Apologetics reminded me of this on accident. He said, "Do you remember the video? Okay, that we watched. Okay, this is ISIS and the Syrian freedom fighters, not the Syrian army, but the Syrian freedom fighters. So ISIS and they were on the same radio frequency, and they were going back and forth. Yeah, no, they were going back and forth, shit talking each other. Okay, and the dude from the Syrian forces says, "Why don't you go to Israel and fight the Jews and free Palestine? Why are you killing Muslims here when we are trying to free ourselves from Assad?" And the response from the ISIS fighter was, "Don't you know that killing the mushrikeen, killing the hypocrites?" He actually said this takes precedent over killing the kuffar or Jews.
Yes.
So in their mind, first you got to kill all the heretics, the mushrikeen, those that do not believe in your specific Al-Qaeda or Islam or Dawah or whatever, and then you go on to kill. No. So that's why I'm like, why do we stop them from doing this? Let them do it.
So the mushrikeen would be us. So they're talking about killing. That would be us. That would be.
Oh yeah, no, my niece. Killing the I can't pronounce it.
So what they're trying to do is eliminate, again, the Ridda war is what they want first, the killing of the hypocrites. The people they don't believe as they do. This is one of the reasons why Saudi Arabia and UAE have eliminated the Muslim Brotherhood. It's the reason why Egypt has said, sorry, you want to live as Muslim Brotherhood, we're going to put you in jail for life. All right. This is why you'll see people condemned to life sentences in some Islamic countries. In the countries where the Muslim Brotherhood is outlawed, become more modern. And that is a direct result of outlawing the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood has its own assassination squad, and you can find the history of that. There's a wonderful book on that called The Secret Apparatus. I recommend it to everybody. If you haven't read that, read the whole entire book, it's outstanding. While I'm at it, there is a new book coming out by Eric Brazeau. And give me just a second, and I should be able to give you the title. Just a second. Now I have to go back and find it. Look for Eric Brazeau on. You'll be watching. It should be out soon. It is called. Sorry, just a second. It is called Islam Fuels America. It is called Islam Fuels Islamophobia Paradox. And I think this is going to be a good book. It's, again, Eric is in Canada, and I think this is a book that should be read and shared with as many liberals as you can find. The way it's written, it's hard to understand where exactly Eric Brazeau stands. That's done intentionally. I know Eric, he's a good friend, and I will say this is something we should all be looking at. If they're going to legalize Islam, they're going to make Islamophobia illegal in Canada. We're going to start seeing a bunch of Canadians move to America because they're no longer allowed to speak freely. Their free speech is going to land them in jail. That's a guarantee. I live near the Canadian border. In fact, the Canadian border is Lake Ontario. I live right on Lake Ontario. So that means the Canadians will be racing over here because should they say the truth about Islam, should they read the Quran out loud, they will be charged with Islamophobia. But the Muslims can read it out loud and they will not be charged. That's what's going to be happening in the near future.
Quick question. Is Lake Ontario part of the Great Lakes, or is it separate?
Lake what?
Well, Lake Ontario.
Yes, it's one of the Great Lakes. Yeah.
It is? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
cool.
they're all connected. Yeah. So yeah, this is it's what 100 miles across, somewhere around there. It's huge. That's all I can say. Couple hours to go across, 3-4 hours. Yeah, from here to Toronto, and I'm in Rochester. So yeah, it's a scare for me. I've been fighting against this since I think 2016 or 2015. I was going over and speaking against this motion, the motion they had to create Islamophobia law with this idiot Trudeau, the Islamo fascist man in charge. Let's put it as he is like Biden. He's not too bright, and he's as left-leaning as they come. Is he brain dead? No, he's just as stupid as they come. Stupid and useful idiot. So be careful. My friend Canadians, I'm asking you to pray for your country because unless you change the government, which people don't know, Canadians do not vote for their leader. They vote for the parliament, and the parliament changes the leader. They don't have a constitution like the United States does. They have a document that is not a constitution, and it's created it's a mess. Let me just put it that way. It's a mess. Darcy?
Yeah. That Islamophobia thing is why David Wood is banned from Canada as well. He said that on broadcast. So.
When I go over there, I never tell them. I mean, I'm usually going to visit somebody, so that's exactly what I'm telling them. I'm telling them I'm going to visit somebody, and if I do something while I'm there visiting someone, great. But my whole purpose usually is to go visit somebody, and if we do something else while we're there, great. Again, it's right across the pond for me. If I had a boat big enough, we could go. easily that way. I guess I'd say a little paranoid with this lake because I've heard some horror stories about boats on this lake. But then I'm right there on it. We have twisters on the lake, and too. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen. Our shores have 6 foot, 7 foot waves sometimes. So you start thinking I'm living by an ocean when you start seeing those huge waves. But that's how big the waves get here. As far as I still believe that we will be seeing many good Canadians rushing here to be safe from their idiot leaders who want to protect Islam. And I would like to be wrong. When they come here, we just have to hope that we are continuing to fight in the United States for our freedom. We have possibly, if things go well, we have 12 years ahead of us. 12 years ahead of us of a good government. We're just going to have to keep praying. That's the only thing we can do. Any last words, Darcy?
Just, if you can, support a brother Paul in his book writing. Pray for our sister. She's in the hospital, Sharon. Pray for her health. Pray for each other in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Sharon's in the hospital. I was just thinking about her. Why she hasn't been coming to the show on Monday, but
she hasn't been healthy. I knew that much, but I didn't know she was.
She'll be okay,
or keep praying for her. That's the best thing we can do. There's sometimes you can't do anything, and that's frustrating, and it's a horrible truth.
Wow.
Yeah. And Sharon, if you're watching, we love you. We miss you.
Yes,
we
that's
hope
true.
to see you soon.
No, literally today, I was just thinking, that Sharon woman, why hasn't she been coming back? Is she okay? Literally, I was just thinking that like earlier today. That's wild. That's crazy. Yeah. Anyway,
she's a blessing. So we're hoping to see her soon. Brad, any last words?
Yeah. So stay away from Islam. Just like actually, if you had a choice between doing fentanyl and Islam, do the fentanyl. I'm just saying, kids. Okay, be better for you. Okay, be quicker in the end, and you whatever. But no. So actually, I'm hoping out with Canada. I'm hoping still to make it the 51st state. So we'll see. We got
it's a good possibility. I think they'll split it into the provinces if they do that.
Right, we'll have to break it up, but no. So Trump is not going to attend the big hockey playoff between the U.S. and Canada.
The redo.
Yeah.
We already beat their butts. I don't know if anybody knows that JD Vance has given an initiative for the there was a playing. The United States got booed during the playing of the national anthem, so there is a huge incentive.
Yeah, and 3 fights broke out. Yeah. I have to say, I watched the 3 fights. I have to say, I mean, the U.S. players gave as good as they got, but I have to say there was only two of the U.S. hockey players definitely got the short end of the stick on that one. But one U.S. hockey player did end up standing up and beating the crap out of the Canadian hockey player. That's American hockey right there. I'm just saying. But the best part is they won 3-1. You know what I mean? So let's hope they do that again, man, and just crush them. And it would be awesome though if Trump would be there and Trudeau would been there and Trump was like,
Oh, Trudeau wouldn't show. Trudeau's not man enough to show. So that would never happen. Even if Trump showed, he wouldn't be man enough.
But anyway, I'm still holding on hope on that one. Make the manifest destiny complete. But all right, that's all I got to say. Remember, stay away from Islam. If you can, check us out on Monday for the Dawa Wars series. It's gonna be great. I hope it'll be a fun show on Eric's show. But that's all I got to say. All right, God bless.
Yeah, thank you, Nico. Last words.
I don't want to ruin us. Some good last words already. Just yeah. Just that this too shall come to pass. Matthew 24.
Oh, if you've been watching, you found good reason to leave Islam. We're going to ask you to call the Straight Way of Grace Ministry and contact them. Ask them for to pray with you. I'm part of the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. I work with them. It is an outstanding ministry. I think you should join us on Saturday nights or to watch the videos that are up with Usama Dakdak. You're going to find some incredible truth there. If you're Muslim and you're still asking questions, go listen to the videos Usama's putting out. This is outstanding work. We've been going for a little bit longer than we usually do, so I'm just going to say good night, everybody.
Wait, Paul.
Yes.
Paul, I hate to do this update. This is happening now. This is live.
Okay.
The actual game is right now. We were just talking about Canadian hockey team. Americans give the Canadian hockey team a taste of their own medicine by booing the Canadian national anthem, "O Canada," ahead of the Four Nations Face-Off Championship game at the TD Garden in Boston. It's happening right now. So we throwing down. Yeah, we throwing down. They in America now. Look out.
All right. God bless everybody. And watch out, Canada. You're going to get your butts beat tonight. Goodbye.